Welcome to Biggest Geek Ass. We are your hosts. I'm Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 182 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. Oh, man, I had to run like a crazy man to get on this show on time, but you know what? It was worth it.
Thank you for doing so, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, twiddling my thumbs.
I had you, baby. I had you. I want to let you hang on this one. Dude, we got the cool people here now. We got Larry and Martinson came in bright and early. Then we're looking at Mac Daddy Thompson, L, the man, the myth, the legend, Dartheic, Command Post Gaming, what's happening? Ryan David, Iron Man. I'm about not halfway through Ryan David's most recent show, and I would love to have some comments on his relationship talk. I need to get on the speakeasy, man, and chat with those guys again. And I say Iron Man. If I didn't say Iron Man, I should say it 3 times. Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man. Easy.
Oh, be careful. You might summon him to your presence.
I'm hoping so. He's not far away, so it would be a short teleport.
Would we have to cancel the show and give you guys some alone time?
We would need some alone time. I would probably cry on his shoulder how much I miss eating from Big Geek Con. But
Yes.
How was your week?
Well, it wasn't great. We lost Sparky.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Sparky died. I mean, we didn't lose him. It's not like we couldn't all of a sudden.
We knew where he was, but yeah.
But our a dog we've had since we've been married, Sparky, died last Wednesday.
Well, that's a bummer. That's tough. I know Jen's been having a hard time. So
Yes, very hard time.
Yeah. Did you get the game at all, though? Probably not.
No. Could have, but I wasn't really. I really wasn't into it.
Yeah, it's tough when you lose those guys. They're like family, dude. When you have them for so long. I mean, I don't consider them like people, but I do think highly of them. They become something, a pet that you cherish and become a friend and an ally. So
it was not the squeaky one.
Sorry, Mac. We still got her. She's a young one.
She's 2. She's only 2.
Her squeak has yet to develop.
She might last longer than our show. Although we have been going up in subscribers. We're over 460 now.
Come on, get to 500. 500, I got a sweet giveaway. But my boy Brago has hurt his left leg. I think he strained a muscle thing, and Deb bought this strap that goes on around his hip, and it's kind of like a support brace. And I think it'll work, but I don't know. We have to take him to the vet.
Oh, you haven't yet?
Well, it's a pulled muscle. It seems like a pulled muscle.
You don't like your dog?
I really don't. I kind of hate him.
You probably kicked him, and that's why he's hurt.
That's right. I got tired of his crap. I think you're a pit
The thing
bull.
is about dogs, you can't sit your dog down and put ice on his pulled muscle. No. You can't talk to your dog, you can, but he's not going to give you the right responses.
How do you feel?
Tell me where it hurts.
I feel like playing frisbee, and I throw the frisbee. He's like, "Yipe, yipe, yipe." So quit running after it. I can't stop myself because I'm a cool dog. Yeah. Dogs make a fine meal.
So what do? You should take a video and put it on Facebook or YouTube about you throwing him a frisbee while he's in pain. You would get real popular.
Dude, homie don't care. He will run after it. He goes, "I will take the pain and love it." Yeah, Brago's pretty sweet. He's a good dude. I should put a video just let everybody see how cool he is. Well, I got to get him healed, though. I think the vet is coming with mom's sickness, and she's been in rehab now. We just haven't had a chance to do that. I'm going to try to get it done maybe next week. I think he's going to have to go unless I see some improvement, because it's been over a week and he's still limping around. So, but I'm going to be running this weekend. I'm going to be running in our Minders campaign, the Earth X Savage Worlds. It should be pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I got a couple of surprises in stores for the dudes. It'll be good.
Are we online this week? This Friday?
No, we're not playing Horde Wars again until the 22nd, my birthday. You're playing on my birthday, dude.
All right. Make sure. You're gonna get knocked down the first round of combat.
That's guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Were we talking? Did you say last week or week before that you thought we need to go save Pete? Or was that his name, Pete?
Yeah, we probably should. But he's probably already dead.
That's the way to think about it. He's probably already dead. Oh yeah, so I should get the game. Should get the game Saturday morning and try to get a good bunch of hours in. I may see if the guys can play long.
They might turn him into a slave and throw him out there with the halflings, but you never tell. They're not people, so how can you tell what they're going to do?
Hey, you think if I told DM Blackwall how I used to give levels and like magic items on your birthday? Remember I used to do that in the early days? You get a
You did
magic
it.
item.
You did it one time.
Remember I did that all the time? Remember that? Like every year? I do that for every character player all the time.
One year, I think you got a few of us, and then by the time you got through a few of us, I think you were like, "No, this ain't working out."
Wait a minute. What am I doing? I hate magic items.
I don't think it ever repeated.
I feel like
I think you only did it once.
I think I probably did it all the time, but that's just me. That's why I don't give magic items now, because I used to give so many away so freely.
Right. It's a zero-sum game.
Right. I got a lot.
All the folks in the early days took all the opportunity from us in the future.
Well, you were at both places, so
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel bad. Back in the day, I gave magic items like they were candy. Here you go.
Candy on Halloween.
Take 3. Now give it back to me, King of the Wind Elemental.
Without the razor blades inside.
Right. That's good. Randy just stopped playing on others' birthdays. That's what I've done.
Avoiding the birthday game.
Yeah. Oh, David Will's got a good idea. Just give away magic items with drawbacks. Yes, it's a +4 Vorpal, but if you roll it critical, you cut your own head off. That's a slight drawback. Welcome, Flynn.
I'm not opposed to some magic items having drawbacks.
Well,
but
yeah,
if it's a kind of general, well, I guess you could make it kind of a theme of that game world that magic items have drawbacks, and it's just a standard thing. They don't all have to be like drawback. Doesn't have to mean it instantly kills you every time you use it. Which means you use it once.
That's going to be part of next week's discussion, which will be very short on my end. Whoa! The man, the myth, the legend.
Legion.
What is up, Maximus? Good to see you, dude.
Must be a leap year.
Must be. Wow. No, he says it's a wild magic effect. That's
wild magic. Yeah. I think you can do. I think you can do it. It doesn't. I don't like it as a player because I want the magic items to work and be reliable and all that. But right I guess. Yeah. Right. It can make sense for some, but they don't all need one. So the ones that used to have most of the drawbacks back in the day were the artifacts, right? The real powerful ones.
Yes, they did.
Right. So you have the what's the one with all the spells?
Tome of Codex of the Infinite Planes.
What? Well, no. The one where there was a spell on each page.
Yeah. And as you read it, you would have a cumulative chance of going crazy.
Yeah, but that's different from the Codex of the Infinite Planes. So that one, it lets you plane travel anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one that's essentially a spell book.
Was there a book of infinite spells?
There might be. But essentially, there's a 1% chance every time you turn the page of, well, I'm getting two things mixed up. But there's the cursed one means that eventually that, hey, I got a spell for every day of the week is going to bite you in the butt. But Codex is the same way. There's a cumulative 1% chance that.
Was that it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
probably.
Thanks, Darth.
That you get carried off by some demons.
No, I don't remember. Too old.
Yeah, it's been a
Patrick
while.
says, "Hey, I got an awesome 40th birthday during the pandemic with the Randy game." Yeah, dude, I hooked
That
you
was
up.
the present, the whole game.
The whole game was the present.
Yeah, so I got one too. It's similar, but not during the
And L's not too far behind. He said, "Randy sounds like a cheap party guest. He gives you an index card with +1 sword written on it for a gift."
Well, that's kind of the way it worked out for my birthday. Got a bunch of cards with, hey, your character's got these things, and then kind of never played those characters ever again. Hey.
Right on. Oh, man. Well,
it's great to start off digging at Randy for our video
I think
today.
That's just a good general philosophy.
Yeah.
Pick on Randy, dig at Randy.
It's better than, you lying on your floor from getting KO'd in the first round.
That's true, but I'll get to experience that soon.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You want to? Shall we jump into the first big topic today?
Yep, you're the man.
We are going to advance everybody's game today. Actually, what we're talking about is we're going to talk about advancement in general. And And I'm talking more like in D&D, right? You have these preset bonus. You get hit points, you get spells. What else?
Especially in the early versions.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of different things. Just like you go up, these things happen.
Yeah, and like wizards would get like one spell and some hit points. Clerics kind of the same. Fighters would usually just get hit points and a bonus to attack. Thief skills, second edition, you get so many points to spread out. First edition, they would go up
you
by
get 5% climb walls and pretty much nothing and everything else.
Yeah.
Until you're 10th level.
Yeah. Attack. Yeah. I can climb walls with 500% chance. What can you pick pockets? 12. 12%. Wow. What level are you? 27.
I got this crappy lock that this goblin made. Yeah. That's probably even a worse percent chance. 6%.
Yeah, but when stupid third edition, which I love, I'm calling it stupid lovingly, got deep long in the tooth, you can make a fourth level that could have plus 57 to his pickpockets. And
the other side of the coin, yeah.
Yeah, because they had so many.
You don't want either.
No, you got to find a balance. That's when I think about Mudsword, when that sort of advancement, character advancement. I definitely want to have choices, and so I would like to have characters have things to pick, but I don't want it to be a giant menu every level. Right. I want it to be a handful of things.
If you get a handful of things every level, it can end up being, snowballing on your character sheet.
Yeah.
So, I like having customizable options, but I don't think it's necessary that you get every level of advancement. You always get to get some customizable list of things to add an extra thing to your sheet. I think it might be even better that maybe you could, but you could also just get improvements to things you already have.
Oh, what's up, DM James? He says his thief can pick pockets on a 3 and 6 roll. Oh, that sounded like old school thievery.
Yep, 3 and 6.
Right on. Ryan David made an interesting comment, and I'm wondering if he's referencing 13th Age. He said, incremental advancement, no gimmick needed.
Yeah.
If you're referencing 13th Age, I'm with Joe. I hated those.
Yeah, +1, +1, +1, +1.
I don't think he's talking about that, though.
Well, that's incremental, so everything gets a little bit better. So whether it's +1 on 20 or 5%, it's all kind of. I think it would be okay to have some things that are like that, but other things but you need to roll 3 exactly.
Nice arm, man.
But it would be nice if some things that got mixed in there were just extra.
Yeah. It's tricky, right? So you get so you have the D&D version where you tend to get sort of not much, but you get a handful of things. And then when you get, first and second edition, you get a couple little things. And then you get third edition where everybody gains certain things just because advancement is that way. And then you get to pick feats and stuff like that, and then things can get out of whack. Oh, he's talking. What's Ryan saying? Hold on.
Well, I think he's misinterpreting what I'm saying. Stop it!
I love doing that to Joe.
When I click, you don't click. I need to have if Joe clicks, he's the master clicker.
I need to learn some clicking. I need to learn clicking etiquette.
Yes, you do. Right. We're not saying a boatload.
Yeah.
So Ryan says, nope, it makes no sense to have a boatload of things unlock at once. That depends. But I agree we don't want to have a bunch of crap on your character sheet by the time you're second level. But we're not talking about a boatload.
David Quill makes
what I don't like, and I'm tired of, is just a dink, 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 barely get anywhere between levels. And maybe for some things that makes sense, but maybe for other things you can have it be bigger than that.
I think Savage Worlds is interesting because in some ways it can feel like it's little dink dink when you get an advancement. Because in Savage Worlds you can either get an edge, which is kind of like a cool feat, or you can get a new skill or advance 2 skills to a certain level that's maxed by one of your ability scores. And it feels sometimes like little tiny movements, but what's worse about it, sometimes getting an edge can be a massive change, right?
Right.
David Quill in his Dungeons and Delvers game, and I was telling David this via email. We were chatting a little bit. I didn't respond in as great detail as he did. He's an awesome email guy. I thought Dungeons and Delvers was looking like third edition when I was first reading it, with all the talents. And you have lots of choices. But once I make a couple of characters, which I'm going to make from an event at Big Geek Con, I think I'm going to find that you get a lot of choices, but sometimes you kind of find yourself going down a path. And when you choose one thing, you really can't have the other. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of choices, but you have to kind of decide how your character is going to be. But I could be wrong. I need to look at it a little bit more.
L says, how much do you need? I don't know. We're spitballing. Some of this is theory crafting in our heads, and we're spitting it out in front of you and seeing what you think.
Yeah. And
how quick do you need to level? I don't know. But what I don't think you should do, I don't think it needs to be a set speed all the time.
No.
I think
that's
that that can alter. Are you just making milestones? Okay. He says Mike Stones.
He means miles.
Right. No. He's inventing a new terminology for advancement. Mike Stones. No, right. Milestones. Experience points are milestones. Because unless you can spend them, you have to reach a threshold before you advance. And there's not that much different from just a milestone. It's an arbitrary amount of time that you are adventuring until something happens. I mean, maybe you could argue that experience points are less arbitrary, but the amount of points that things give you is. So it's kind of calling one thing a milestone. Unless you can have a way of spending your experience points. The points are just a placeholder for a milestone. They're not that much different.
There's not really. It's not. It's
not just, really.
It makes people feel like they're controlling it a little more. I think people feel more. For some reason, I think people feel in control of experience points more than they do milestones. And you could say, if the DM is leveling you up as milestones, it may feel like he could be capricious, which he could if he has no method to his madness.
Having experience points are less arbitrary from the point of view of the DM. They're more arbitrary from the point of the system because someone somewhere just decided how many experience points a certain thing is.
Sure.
But if you're going with DM feel, that's a lot more arbitrary.
Yeah. Couple comments here. I want to get Flint's up here, and I'm going to try not to slurp Legion. I apologize. I forgot he's here.
Slurp master.
I am the slurp king. In my opinion, Darth says, as long as the players feel like there is some kind of progression, it's a good thing. Be it money, magic, or levels, it doesn't matter. I think he's right there. I think there's a part of that when the players feel like they're advancing, they're usually pretty happy with the DM. I don't think they get too worked up. Flint Fireforce says, I have read that most campaigns do not go past 6 sessions. I believe that's a 5E-ism. Could this be because of a lag in character advancement? Possibly.
That could be one of the factors.
And here's the deal for me, and I've said it before. As far as XP goes, look, I don't have time. I'm not interested in collecting 400,000 experience points to get to a level. This
is factually wrong here, Al. Mm-hmm. When you get your experience points, they always add up. Mm-hmm. You never spend them in regular D&D.
Right.
You have a running total that lasts until your character is kaput. They never go to 0.
No, that's not true.
Am I remembering something wrong?
No, that's not a thing.
That's never been a thing.
It's never been a thing. Not in D&D. There are games that do that. D&D doesn't do that. I mean, unless I'm just insane. No, I don't think you're right, dude.
No. You can visualize it that way. Sure. But that's not the way it works. When you get to a particular total, your level goes up. Yeah. When the DM says you've played enough, you go up. They're just stand-ins for it. Basic did that I did it that time.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll take your word for it, dude. I don't have it in front of me, so it could be. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. I saw an experience point table for every class, and you had to gain, start at 0. I think you're wrong, dude. I'm going to say you're wrong. I think you had to go 0, 2,000, 4,000, 6,000. That's gaining. You don't go, and maybe he's not saying this. You don't go 0 to 2,000, then back up to 0, and then got to gain 4,000, back up to 0, and then got to gain 6,000. I think that's not how it works.
Yeah. Burning of XP in 3.5 for magic item creation. Right.
3-0, I think. Legion says you spend. Now, I don't want. Unearthed on you spend your legend points to raise skills, talents when you meet a. Yeah, I still need to play a campaign of that. I haven't done that yet.
So, but we're kind of being pedantic with experience points and milestones. I understand what people mean by milestones.
I do too.
I'm just kind of saying experience points aren't that much different if you're not doing anything with them except waiting until you have enough.
Yeah. I guess for me, I don't really care all that much. But at my age now, I was a milestone guy for a long time.
You kind of still are.
I kind of am. But I tend to give chunky experience points.
Yeah.
But I think the truth is, I am leaning towards something more like Horde Wars. I love you need this many XP every time to get a level. I'm done with tracking the billions and billions of experience points.
Well, I'm going to pull out the AD&D first edition player's handbook that I have handy dandy right here.
Depends on your class, dude. Elves needed a boatload for basic, and human fighters needed something, and dwarves needed something. Ladies says, Randy, you should do that. Resetting the XP after every level should help keep the rabble in place. That's truth, Lady.
Okay, yeah, it depends on your class. I just happen to see the assassin class right here.
Yeah.
This first one, right? First one, it goes from 0 to 1500 is first level, and then when you get to 1501, it's second level, to 3000. 3001 is third level. It's a running total. Well, I know, but that's what I have, and I can break out my rule cyclopedia, but I know that all the tables work that way there too. You're muted.
Elf said he would go back to 0. I just put that up because I want to clarify. He's trying to say we're not paying attention. It's L who's not paying attention.
Yeah.
Spend it and you are back to 0. You're claiming you go back to 0. You do not. Now, if you want to say now he makes this claim, which be careful. Focus, it was additive. Duh. That's what we were saying, dude.
Yeah, it's a running total.
Like we're not saying the right thing.
Running total is additive.
Come on. Wake up. You don't spend experience points in D&D. Yeah. I'm not even looking it up. I know I'm right. You've never done that. It's not a thing. No, there is no second. There is no. L, you're wrong. Look in your books, dude.
So, anyway.
There is no spending. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Do it. Joseph. Put it on there before I kill you, dude.
I don't know.
How do you feel about the skill point buy?
I don't like skill points. Yeah. I got really when third edition first came out, I was like, oh, okay. And then probably about halfway through, I was like, oh, this is so tedious and silly, especially when you can get your skill ranks up really high, especially 3.5 and then Pathfinder. I think that was a bad way to go. I'd much rather not doing that. You're muted again.
Non-Slurpee guy. I think it's okay. If you spend experience points in some way to buy stuff, but I think it gets weird sometimes. I've heard of some players like saving their XP and then able to buy a big, which I don't know if it matters. I mean, I guess it depends on the design of the game.
Honestly, David Will asks, would you be fine with skill points if they were fewer and or the skill ceiling was lower? Personally, I would rather the skills just play off of your ability scores, with certain classes having somewhat better chances based on maybe a bonus given their class. And if you bought anything like a feat or whatever, it would just give you some small bonus. I think
Yep.
that having the points to spend every level, it'll get out of hand, even if you make it one
I guess I'm
every level.
fixating on third edition, and I think Mac is talking about a different game, and David is talking about skills. I think in Dungeons and Delvers he's got a cap of like 5 on skills. I'll be honest with you, I think 13th Age sort of is my favorite skill system, where you pick a few backgrounds, but I would like to see it be better defined, because I find not too many people, but I find more than a handful of people in our large group, when you give them a 13th Age background, it becomes a finagling and a debate thing. That's too much time.
Right.
I don't need the skills to be well defined, but I need them to be moderately defined. David's is interesting. That's one of the things that intrigues me, is his proficiency bonus. The James Gang says proficiencies from Dungeoneer Survival Guide and Wilderness Survival Guide are the way to go. I don't know, dude. It's been too long since I used those. I found them to be a little weird.
They have plus, if I remember correctly, they had, between the Dungeoneers and Wilderness Survival Guides, they had some disparities, I believe.
Well, even forgetting that, I get that it fits the AD&D thing. Okay, I think L's clarifying here. He's saying this is why people have problems with older editions. If people had 5467 XP, 5,000 at second level, big number, scary. Should be 3467 on the sheet. Okay, you're saying okay. L is clarifying. I get what he's saying now. He's saying, why don't you drop it? I think that's what he's saying. I don't want to put words in your mouth, L, but he's saying if you gain 2,000, mark it back to 0, and then gain the difference from second to third. That would keep the numbers down. I'm not afraid of big numbers. I just find it silly. 274,360 XP.
But at high level, you need 300. Some classes needed 350,000 just to advance.
Dude, I'm going to be 57 next week. I don't have time for that.
Right.
I'm not interested.
I'm not scared of big numbers. That's one of the things that I got turned off with 5th edition is everybody seems to want, and everybody wants to seem to, they seem to be scared of adding double digits to double digits, right?
Yeah.
And it's really pathetic. But
please don't, James. He's threatened to summon JSG.
But it's kind of I don't know. With skills, I would rather it not be so easy to get those numbers really high, and then skill rolls are very irrelevant. They got that way in 3rd edition, and there's probably a good way to keep that from happening. I mean, you could have a plus 20 by the time you're 3rd or 4th level. A lot of times, there were stories of folks with just diplomacy, right? High diplomacy, just, making everybody love them all the time.
I think, that got kind of dumb. And that's not, I'm going to give David props. He points that out in Dungeons and Delvers. No matter how high a roll you make, even on a 20, the king's not going to give you the keys to the kingdom.
Right.
Just because you came in and rolled a diploma. That's just dumb. And 3rd edition got worse. That's a big fault of 3rd edition. What if
you could change hostile to worship you?
Right, plus 42 diplomacy, and you can turn a very angry Bulette into I'll go eat something else.
Right. So while I'm not too scared of I'm not scared of high numbers.
Yeah. I'm not scared of
the meaning of those high numbers in 3rd edition got to be stupid. And I thought that the assignment of skill points every time you gain a level was very tedious.
Yeah, see, that doesn't, I don't think that bothers a lot of people. I think it's a particular thing with you and me, and to a point with our 3rd edition experience points. Experience. For me, I feel like the Horde Wars, 12 XP and you level and then reset. And I feel like that's something that I like a little better. Yeah. Oh, David Quill.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about. Oh no, I thought you were doing the other one.
Sorry, using the 3rd edition Epic Level Handbook, you could
Yeah,
make a diplomacy check high enough to get a lich to give you his phylactery.
yeah, and if you tried to use a spell on him to do that, it wouldn't work. But you use your silver tongue, he's like, yeah, here you go. Now, this is actually the way you're supposed to do it. In Adventure Conqueror King System 2, you take the keys from the king.
Right on.
Right. You go up there, you punch the king in the face and get the keys, and now you're the king. Yeah. That's more like what you should have to do instead of just make some check.
Look, I'm a math guy. I don't hate numbers.
Right.
When I play, I want it to be chill. I want leveling to happen at a reasonable pace. As you guys know, I want to get to 30th level. I don't want to be screwing around levels 1 to 4 all day long because I got to get 900,000 experience points to get there.
I guess my problem with the skill point purchasing and assignment and all that stuff is it's a lot of tedium that has no payoff or has little payoff. You can do all that skill assignment and then just use barely any of the skills in a session between levels or between several levels. So, and it's so mundane. It's just a kind of boring part of the game, in my opinion. I would rather it be more old school, where you have your character class has strengths that are listed in certain areas, and you use your stats. But that's me.
I'm good with that, dude. I have no issue with it. I told you the one I was playing around with was something I found online. Elle's got a good little comment. I'll bring it up in a second. But one that's interesting to me is, and I was playing with this when we were doing OSE and I was messing around with Mudsword, and I still kind of like it, where you would use your stats, but depending on how difficult the skill check was that I thought, you'd have to roll more dice. So if it's pretty easy, maybe you roll 3d6. If it's hard, you might have to roll 5d6. That would mean you would roll 5 6-sided dice. That total has to be equal to or less than your stat. I saw that online and I really like that. That's a neat way for the DM to adjust difficulty.
And I'm not one that has to have the skill resolution different from the combat resolution, because you can run combat that way too.
You could, absolutely. Elle says, this is interesting. Randy,
but I didn't finish my
statement. I'm sorry.
I just stopped talking, but I didn't really finish my thought.
You paused, and you know how I am with pauses.
Right. You just jump right in. Right. So I don't have to have the skills work different from combat, but it's fine if it does, and that's a neat little system there.
Yep. I liked. Elle has a good question. What if XP did not? He meant gain levels, but things. So, interesting. So 200 XP for a hit die.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting game to see. It depends on how granular you want. I won't poop on it, but I know I don't want super granular. I do not want to get to 3rd edition, for a fact. I don't want to be that granular, but I also don't want to be too generic. So I've got to find a happy medium, but I mean, that's not a horrible idea. Didn't they do something like that with what was that 3rd edition game that literally stripped away all the classes and all the races and made everything a point buy system?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
About that thick.
Yeah. They tried to balance everything against each other, point wise, and I guess you can do that.
I mean, and when you have too much, when you have too much moving parts. Now, I don't think any game can avoid players being able to make, they can. Games can avoid it, but most games don't. Look at David Quill. That's it. Fantasy Craft.
I have to look that up.
I don't think many games that have not many crunchy games that have a lot of rules and bells and whistles and knobs you can turn when you're making your class or making choices can stop min-max power gaming, someone building this super badass character. But I think you can put some reins on it by not taking away agency, but you don't have to have as many choices. The more choices the player has, the more unforeseen combos, like 3.5.
Well, sure. If you did a point equivalent for everything a character could do at every level, and just had it all in a spreadsheet, and every time they gained sufficient experience to buy something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what if they just bought hit points every time?
Yep.
And then they just bought hit points and hit points and hit points until they had 100 hit points, and then they started getting other things.
I mean, you can, but
or they bought spell, this spell and that spell and the other spell, a bunch of spells.
Yeah.
I mean, it might work. It might be okay.
Sure, because you might have power points, and you got to buy a spell or you got to buy power points. You can't have both. Be very granular. I mean, it could work. I'm sure. Look, I think third edition works. I just think you have to accept its anomalies and its problems.
Yeah.
You know. What is advanced? I think Darth sort of answered it. I don't think I have any more. No, Darth, he gave an answer to it without knowing it. What does advancement mean to the players, really? I mean, so Joe, whenever you're playing a game, you need to have advancement, right? Because we have a friend who's talked about back during Pathfinder. He was like, we should all play he would be happy playing a 6th level Pathfinder character for like 3 years straight and never gaining a level.
Okay. No, I don't have to. Okay, we have a problem here.
What's problemizing us?
You see this?
Oh.
Yeah, there's a spam. I'm going to see if I can get rid of that.
Okay.
So for the player, for me, I like advancement. I don't think I would want to play 6th level for 3 years, but it would depend. It all depends. Everybody has a different way of doing things. I would just not care to do that.
Ironman says the leveling in Horde Wars is minor. The loot table roll is a random reward. Certain items can advance the character a little or a lot. Yeah, it's pretty random. It's a little too random for me. That's not my favorite way to roll. I'm not a random guy all the time. I like a little taste of randomness, and I could see that does ease the burden, where I can just say, Iron Man just got a Sword of Incredible Doom. I can't help it. I rolled it. So, yeah. Oh, Flint's asking, hear me out. What if you advance 3 levels every session? Wow, Joe would hate that. So that by the 6th session, you're level 18. The player is in charge of explaining how they advance between sessions, and weapons and magic items are rolled for at the beginning of the next session. Depends on how much randomness you like. You're going to have to let go of a lot of what I would call verisimilitude. But, I mean, you can try it, Flint, if you want to get through. I mean, wanting to get through the levels, I see that.
Yeah, it would be a short campaign.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, 13th Age has that, too. They have the 10-session campaign. You gain a level every time. They only have 10 levels. Darth says, what I listed earlier was kind of a catch-all. What makes the players feel like they are progressing, I think, really depends on the game and the system. I think so, too. We're mostly focusing on D&D, but some game systems, like to me, when we played Savage Worlds, I don't think you guys kept looking, man, I can't wait to become seasoned. Man, I can't wait to become veteran. Maybe you did. I thought you were more intrigued by, either getting items, getting more powerful, learning more about the world, defeating the bad guy, like in our Rippers game. You were focused on beating that witch's coven. But I'm sure the advancements helped, and they were motivational.
That was on Twitch.
Oh.
And I blocked that thing. So
gotcha.
That wasn't shown in the YouTube chat stream. We just saw it here on our end in StreamYard land. So
blocked that dude.
Blocked it. So
Legion of Miss. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Gary D20 is over in Rumble territory. I'm gonna go say hi to.
Yeah, so hi to Gary
D20. Hey, Gary.
Legion of Myth, I'd be fine with playing a non-leveling character. I run slow leveling games. Most games you don't properly learn the character before, bam, new level. That can be a drawback. Even if you use, especially back in 3rd edition, those modules would give you boatloads of experience points. And so characters could level pretty rapidly. And when I was doing some milestone advancement, I leveled too fast. Joe even told me once, he goes, dude, some of it we don't know our characters well enough. I mean, Joe could do it. He was a master of 3rd edition, but some of the players at the table were struggling because they're like, I got 5th level spells. Didn't I just get 4th level spells? And that can be tough.
Yeah. So I think for me, if it's a system that I'm extremely familiar with, like any edition of D&D that I've played, low level, I don't need very long to get familiar. So however fast you want to advance, maybe not mid session, but 2-3 sessions, I can learn any D&D character's complications, especially if we're starting at first.
Yeah. Well,
once we get up to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, then we slow it down some because it's been a while, and I might need to get used to that. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I will do what Randy is talking about. If it looks like folks are struggling, and Randy just wants to get to the thing because that's the thing is what we need to get to, then I'll say, hey, this ain't working.
Slow down, hippie.
Yeah.
Ironman and James Gang both have a good comment. Let me get Ironman's real quick. He says, D&D was about right with quicker advancement early on and slower advancement later on. I'm going to say I sort of agree. I agree with the idea. I still don't like the implementation of the experience points, only because they got out of hand. I'm sorry, gaining hundreds of thousand experience points, like at level 14, it's just weird, dude. I mean, why are we taking so dang long trying to get to the next level? I mean, we're going to age out.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is in that version of the game, you didn't have things that were worth hundreds of thousands of experience points. So there was never something you could kill. Well, one thing, like you go on a grand adventure, you kill a bunch of supporting characters, and then at the end you kill the big boss, and it's enough to level up.
If you got
after several sessions, that the biggest boss in early AD&D. Well, I mean, what about Asmodeus? If you happen to be able to kill him,
he won't level you up.
No,
not if you're 14th level.
No,
you got to split it with the rest of the party.
And he is probably. Not even counting all the dragons, especially counting the dragons.
First edition, he's much tougher than any 3 dragons.
Maybe Orcus is on par. Maybe
Asmodeus could kill one of every ancient dragon at one shot.
Yeah.
There's no way he wouldn't kill them. Because none of them could hit him. None of them have a chance to hit him except the red, and the red would go down fast.
Right. And to be able to get to him, it's not like you're going to turn the corner and, hey, there's Asmodeus, let's go kick his butt. And let's say you did, it wouldn't. He was like, yeah, Asmodeus, he was kind of easy and no experience.
But I mean, Killraven says this about Savage Worlds. He says, if you aren't at least seasoned in Savage Worlds, characters tend to feel too much like scrubs.
They can.
I don't disagree with that. That's a fair assessment. James Gang, DM James says, or play a game without levels. That's an interesting thing that I've always thought about superhero games. I don't know why you would even I really don't know why you would level up in a superhero game.
Advance at all?
Only because it is so rare in the comics that a superhero changes his powers.
Right. And even if they do, they change back. A lot of times. They don't change permanently. And so, I mean, even Jean Grey, when she became the Phoenix, she got wildly more powerful, but that was a story arc when it wasn't really, the first telling of it. It wasn't her, right?
Telekinesis went off the charts. Now we're talking 1980s Jean Grey. We're not worried about the modern stupidity,
right? But that didn't end up not even being her. And then,
later on they rewrote it as being some other chick. And they took Jean and left her in a little egg underneath the water. He got stupid.
Well, right. So they had an end game for her. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how long this has been a trope in comics. The character changes like she did. She got more powerful, had a bit of an arc. She went dark and then was killed because, she became a bad guy. And then her character was gone, but then someone wanted to bring her back and just said, hey, yeah, that Dark Phoenix person was some other thing. Yeah. She was, but yeah.
To me, I don't get it. And so games where you advance too much, I mean, you can set it up so that happens. And like you could let characters getting better and better and better in themselves.
Yeah, so Supers games with advancement is a bit odd.
Yeah, Nerdy Ogre says, don't change the power. Their power becomes greater. Maybe, I don't want too many. Look, if you're trying to play Captain America, I don't want you shooting lasers out of your eyes when you're 12th level.
Right.
That's just weird.
Unless the Beyonder comes, like with Spider-Man. The Beyonder, did he possess Spider-Man?
I don't remember. I
There
know
was a deal.
in the first Secret Wars, they went to that planet, and I believe the Beyonder, that planet was where they originally found Venom, the suit, and we didn't know it was a suit at the time. And so
Right.
my comics knowledge is ancients of days. I'm sure they've changed crap or clarified or rewritten it.
Right. Spawn, not Spawn. But it was no. What was Spawn? It was Spawn, wasn't it?
What about
No.
Spawn?
No. What did Parker's black suit become? Was that Spawn?
Venom.
Spawn was the from Hell. Yeah. But yeah. So there was the Beyonder. All of a sudden, Peter Parker had the power cosmic, and it had to do with the Beyonder. And so there was a bunch of lead-in comics.
Thought it was Doom. Dr. Doom kind of got the Beyonderness. I think we're thinking about two different comics.
Yeah, Spider-Man had like tie-ins from all 15 of his titles.
I believe you.
And but then that went away once the Beyonder revealed himself, or there was some kind of event, and then he went back to normal. So getting wildly more powerful or very different can be okay for a story in a comic, but when you're playing a game, I get why there's a thing, why there's advancement in the comic book games, because they came out of the other games that had advancement, so they had to have it in there.
And people might feel better about it. Killraven wants to straighten you out. Spawn is from Image, Joe. Different universe. Cut your bullcrap.
You are correct. I was remembering the wrong word. I am. You're going to take my nerd card away.
I may have modified Killraven's comment. He wasn't quite that cold-blooded, but I do appreciate it. Get Joe. Iron Man, backtrack for a second. I want to give him some props. I had forgotten about that. He says gold piece as XP was part of there too. Back in old school, he's right. And there's a bunch of gold pieces. If no gold pieces is XP, then adjust the XP table to reflect only monster kills and such. Correct. Monster kills were actually vastly lower compared to gold piece XP.
Yeah, true. You could probably divide them by 100 or 1,000 with the way you run games.
Yeah, I'd say divide it by 2 million. And
right.
You'll be fine. Because I'll be basically good. So you're never going to get any experience points, dude. I mean, because I'm not going to give you like 5 gold pieces. I mean, by the time you get to 10th level, you should have at least a number of gold pieces equal to your level. That's my philosophy.
That would be okay if the gold pieces had value.
Could spend
spend like gold probably did back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos about medieval times, and there's a historian on there. He dresses in medieval garb, and he talks about how various things. And when he talks about how much a thing would cost, you're like, well, that was cheap even for peasants. I mean, when they didn't really have anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the things were extremely, when you're talking about a gold piece, if you had a coin made out of gold back in the medieval times in Europe,
it was valuable.
In London, what would that be called? I don't know. But it would probably take you a whole month to spend it.
Yeah. Back to the supers for a moment. Nerdy Ogre says, all the powers must be connected, meaning as you level, they should connect. And then he clarifies that with this. No, you can't breathe underwater, have telepathic communication with aquatic animals, can swim fast as a torpedo, and fly. Oh, no, I can. Yes, because you're describing basically Aquaman. I don't get the flying part. Could Aquaman fly? I don't think he could fly.
Aquaman, I don't know. But Prince Namor could.
Yeah, he had the sweet little...
he was like underwater Superman. He had wings on his ankles. Or fins.
He was pretty boss. He gave the Fantastic Four a run for the money.
He was really tough.
What about modern games or horror games? What's advancement there, really?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't play any of those. But I've heard people talking, and a lot of it is, I know there's a Call of Cthulhu version where the advancement is basically your skills. Yes. So if you use your skills, you kind of mark ticks down however many times. You can even advance it off of failing. So
no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, hold on. I'm sorry. Namor punched the Hulk into orbit?
He's super strong.
I didn't think he was.
Like I told you, he's like Superman underwater.
Okay, dude, I'd never heard of that before. All right, huh?
I remember a comic where Prince Namor was. I don't know if this was a one-off or something, but Namor had amnesia, and the Fantastic Four finally found him, and he had the beard, and he was he didn't know who he was. He was sitting with some drunks or whatever, and the fire was Johnny Storm. No,
yes,
the guy Johnny Storm, Human Torch.
Human Torch.
He shaved him with his fire. He shaved his. He took it. He had a finger. It was all on fire. And took off his hair off his skin. So he's really tough. Namor. I mean, yeah. Johnny Storm is no slouch on the fire department.
Right. Darth says in Call of Cthulhu, it's all skill based. It's only for successful use of a skill. Yeah. Then you get a certain percentage of that increase.
Yeah. There's a percent increase. Right.
Okay. Yeah. I guess they're all saying Namor was BA. I'll take their word.
He was really.
I liked him as a character, but I didn't read a lot of the Fantastic Four when I was young. Yeah. But I did read some. So
he's one of those guys that sometimes he seems like he's kind of nefarious, but most of the time he's an honorable type of guy. You don't mess with my domain underwater.
You don't mess with the Atlanteans, and Namor won't choke you out. Yeah, that's basically it. Or don't mess with the ocean and stuff. And he was a lot. Yeah, he sounded like he was tougher than Aquaman, and Aquaman was pretty badass in DC. So
right,
I didn't know that, so I stand corrected, or not corrected. I just learned me something new. So modern games and horror games, and people that play them, we don't play them. I think little increments or advances would be fine as long as it's not. I mean, you don't want to all of a sudden have your guy so good at fighting that he kicks the crap out of Cthulhu in a martial arts battle.
No,
that he gets in an MMA chokehold and chokes Cthulhu out.
Right. So I wonder if you could translate that type of advancement into a fantasy game where everything was based in skills, and your hit points. Someone said, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and this one fella says he thinks that you should start out with X number of hit points and it should go up very little over time. And that if what should go up is maybe your defenses and your skill at fighting, but not your hit points. And if you adopted the kind of advancement in the Call of Cthulhu game, that would segue well with that sort of thing.
Hold on 1 second. I got to step out just for a second.
Right. So imagine it would be a bit more gritty, but when you advance, you would just advance your skills. I'm not sure how well the high fantasy side of things would probably disappear.
Well, if you do like a wound system, Legion of Myth saying yes, more skill, less hit points. The hit point bloat can be troublesome for some people.
I've thought for a while that everything going up radically is one of the issues that third edition or D&D kind of has over editions, right? Across all editions. All of your numbers go up in tandem. Some of them may be a little slower than the others, but all the numbers go up in tandem. And if you just take one of them out, it might make it a little bit more reasonable. Your challenges would be more reasonable. Maybe you wouldn't need dragons having 5,000 hit points for them to be a challenge to high-level parties.
I guess for me, I just wonder if you would lose some of the fun of high level that way.
I don't know. Maybe you could play more high level.
Maybe you could, yeah. DM James saying you're describing Dragonbane. So that's the new, what is that one that made Forbidden Lands? What's their name? Free League. That's their fantasy
okay.
game. I've looked at it, but I'm sorry, guys. I know it's going to be heresy. I hate those stupid ducks in that game. I know I don't have to use them. They have a humanoid duck race.
Are they called Howards?
No, I don't like that.
That is kind of dumb.
Some people love it. I just can't do that's too anthropomorphic. I'm not a big fan of that.
Right. So con modifier, so David Will says one way to reduce hit point bloat is to have your con modifier only apply to the total, not every level or hit die. Yeah. My feeling is just you use your constitution score, as your base hit points,
That's what I'm working with
and
right
you
now.
don't have a modifier.
In Mudsword, I don't know if I sent you I've got
Yeah.
a draft of that, and I'm really intrigued by doing that. You'll start off with more hit points initially, and then it's going to become,
Yeah.
we'll see. I like my first thought. We'll see how it goes. And it
This
may not
fellow
play.
that I watched this video, he thinks that strength is a better determiner of your meat, right, than constitution. But I think it's kind of 50-50 in my opinion.
Legion singing to us.
Yeah.
I want a
Weird
new
Al.
duck. One that won't try to bite. One that'll wash my car. One that won't quack all night. That's good.
Yeah.
Want a new duck? Yes, you're going to gain level up, and I haven't decided if it's going to be a set amount or a die type. I lean toward a die type. So yes, it's going to happen. You're going to get a choice of how you. Right now, I'm leaning toward a non-class system to at least try it out. Joe's always wanted some of that, so
At least
give him some.
Give me some. I like options. If you go up as a class, like if you're a magic user, you can't ever learn how to wield a sword, even though that sounds in my head just really stupid. Maybe you won't.
That's what they're called.
Dark Wings.
Dark Wings.
That would be a good name for them. That was a good cartoon.
Yep.
But it's ludicrous to me that you can't at least pick up your someone show you how to use it. You're not going to be as good as someone who was born to it or has wielded them your whole life. But saying you can never pick up any proficiency at all is kind of dumb.
What do you think of Gwill's statement? Killraven's statement. That was a good thing back in 1E, 2E. Normal folks, even characters, did cap out on hit points at 9th or so. Characters only have so many hit dice. I think it's not a bad idea. To limit hit dice. Even if you can get to 20th level, maybe you shouldn't have 20 hit dice.
Right. So I think that was one of the problems with the newer edition is the inflation of hit points. Personally, I don't really like having single-digit hit points at first level.
No.
I think it's a little silly.
The characters are hero. I mean, unless, well, look.
You don't, even if you don't start out a hero. In my mind, hero isn't just your capabilities. Hero is your reputation and what you've done.
Sure.
So you could develop into a fine specimen and have decent amount of hit points at first level. You just haven't done anything to give yourself a name.
Are you saying you're against the idea of being one-shotted at first level?
No, because I think that should still be feasible.
You just don't want it to be so easy because I have a one-hit point wizard and a kobold sling at me, and the kobold's weaker than I am. And
forget a kobold. An alley cat can come up and scratch you in your day.
A cat could scratch you. That's proven in 2nd edition. The cat would literally kill a wizard. If you don't get your sleep spell, the cat will kill you.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. So, though cats can be pretty ornery, dude.
They can be ornery, but I have to let them kill me. There's not a house cat in the world that could kill me on purpose. I mean, I'd have to be asleep.
We can't do it. Killraven's already got the idea. You always give PCs or some NPCs their con score as a base hit point. Dang it. He took it from us.
You mean giving characters their con score as hit points isn't an original idea of ours?
Nope. Killraven did it first.
I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
We must have said it some other time, and he's just, faking us out.
So I think most RPGs need some form of advancement. I think a couple of folks in here said they could do like our buddy Phil did and play 6th level basically forever. I don't think I would want to play that level forever. But once I have some ability and can do some stuff, I don't mind it taking a little longer.
Oh, sure. Or even a while.
Even a while. But I just don't, to me, I want to get to the high levels. I just do. I want slinging powerful spells. I want really cool things happening. I want demons being summoned. I want massive dragons being fought.
If double-digit levels are your thing, you could stay at double digits for a while, especially 11, 12. You can stay there for a year, easy. I think.
Yeah.
And then, advance slowly at that point, and you can still get to the end point of most D&D 20th level is the end type of situations.
Which gives credence to Iron Man's comment about fast advancement early, slow down at the high end. That's probably a good theory.
Yeah,
So
because you're going to have more complicated, especially casters are going to be more complicated as you level. You need more time as a player to figure all that stuff out.
yes, Darth is correct. He says a third level wizard in 2E could die from a single hit from almost all of their classes. Yeah, yeah. A first level fighter could kill a third level wizard in one hit. Absolutely. He could. And DM James says Dragonbane uses con for hit points and wisdom for magic points. Ooh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I want it to slow down, but I don't want it to be like a snail's pace. Like, what was it? Didn't like but it was way high at the end. As long as the 14th or 15th level first edition druid had to actually gain 1 million experience points.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then they had an endpoint, right?
Yeah, they would cap
First
out
edition. Yeah, they had an
16 or
endpoint.
something. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all I got to say about advancement. You got anything else you want to chat about on
I'm
advancement?
going to look up the druid right quick.
Oh, hold on. We ain't leaving yet. Joe's on the druid. While he's doing that, why don't you guys like and subscribe? Make sure you're the right one. Bam. Subscribe.
No. Seven. Oh, good deal.
No, it's good. Look at me. Like I'm a professional.
It's the wrong one though.
But oh dang it. Which one was the good one?
That's the one we borrowed.
That's the borrowed one. Yeah.
That's the right one.
Get off. That's the right one. I'm glad I found it.
So it's actually 750,000.
Oh, well then my bad. I'm sorry.
For the druid.
I was way off.
Yeah, way off. You should be ashamed of yourself, math boy.
But subscribe, people. Hit the likes, the subscribes, your friends, especially your enemies. Because if you don't like us, your enemies might like us. So tell them to give a chance. And if you do like us, maybe your enemies will like it. Uh-oh, Flady's calling me out. He says, I'm starting to think Randy's getting soft. First, he's going to allow players to survive, then level up. Next, he'll be rewarding magic items.
It's only talk. It's all talk.
How is Legion the wrong? He says he's the wrong one. I don't know how he's the wrong one. He's one of our favorites. How could he be wrong? We don't allow wrongness in our circle of friends.
I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's responding to something in the chat.
He loves, he likes low level. Legion's not. He likes a slow burn.
Right. That's a lot. A lot of people like low level slow burn or no burn, like the OSR, no burn. Always low level.
Oh, he made the graphic. Thanks, Kill Raven. That's his subscribe. Yes. Sorry, Legion, you let us have it. Now you're host.
Well, the sign, the image is not you. You are not the image.
He is. His soul. He's poured his soul, heart and soul deep into that image.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I'm all for. I just want to say about experience points. I'm all for playing with the way the game runs.
Yes.
Right. I played that for a long time, and I can do it. We're only talking about some preferences here. If we can turn the knobs, we would do it a particular way, or we would experiment with a few different ways until we found out what we liked. We're probably not going to just get it the first time.
If you got me in an arm bar and said, Randy, you have to do an experience system right now, it would be like Horde Wars. There'd be 10, 12, probably 10 experience points. I would give out somewhere between 1 and 4 per session with slight adjustments. I'm not even against the idea, like in Horde Wars, what if I rolled a D4 plus 1 or a D4 minus 1?
I think it works all right with Horde Wars. Horde Wars has a very small base of capabilities for your character, and I'm sure once we've played it a bit, we'll get a bit. I'll get a handle on. I know I forgot a couple of things the last time we played, but I'll have a handle on the different combinations that characters can make. There's not that many. Not saying it's a bad thing for Horde Wars, but your characters have fewer things that they can do power-wise.
I forgot a lot. I forgot that all our crap was not in our possession, and then I started some poop and ended up having to run, and I had nothing.
I knew it the whole time.
I knew it. I was just like, not till we're doing the dragon thing, I started thinking, wait a second, we're gonna lose all our crap. you know, Blackwall loved it. And you know how I know he loved it? Because if that had been me, I would have loved it.
Yeah.
The only thing could have made it.
Leave all your stuff.
The only thing could have made it better if you all had like 3 magic items, which you never would in my campaign. But if you did, I would do my best to make you leave them somewhere.
Honestly, though, the real big loss would have been the scrolls, but it would have sucked to get all the gear back, to try to get all the gear back, and we would have been out a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But it would have been another reason to go back and attack those guys.
I believe but dude, there's a whole city, man. I don't think we can do that. We're getting a reward, though. We should be getting a reward. Hopefully I can recoup some of my crap. I would love to be able to buy another silver mace or something like that.
Well, we got our stuff. We got some of our stuff. We didn't get. We got our gear. They brought us our gear. We didn't. We had to leave behind the cart and the horses.
Oh, did we get our
barrels? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they grabbed our gear.
Larry Elliott says he knows he paid quite a bit for those scrolls. Yeah, they took it out of your hides, dude. Right out of Larry's hide. He lost lots of hit points. All right. So we told him to subscribe and check it out and love this podcast because it's so awesome. Now we're going to do a little episode of Is It Really All That It's Cracked Up to Be? And we are tackling Dune, Joe's beloved.
Which Dune are we tackling?
Dune, the story, and then we're going to talk about the different. There was, let me find this real quick. The other media adaptions, as far as movies go.
Okay, I know. I can tell you. Okay, all right. There is a version of the movie that I think before the 1984 Verhoeven rendition that never actually was released. They went through some production. I can't remember. I can't remember the name attached to it, but there was a
Jablonski
Dune,
or something
like that. I don't think it ever got released. There might be some imagery out there, some production stills or concept art that might be out there, but there's no. I don't think there's any footage.
It was never made, but here you go, dude. I'm doing some sweet screen sharage.
Jodorowsky's right.
Yeah, Jodorowsky. That was supposed to. I think all it became of was a script. So.
Right.
And
so
Darth asked if the modern part 2 is any good. We're going to have very different answers, though Joe has not seen it.
I haven't seen either one, and all the clips that I've seen have disappointed me. So, okay, from a point of view, not from production quality. Anyway,
so we got Jablonski's, and what else?
Right. We have Verhoeven, if that's the right name, from 1984, the 1984 movie adaptation.
That was David Lynch.
Oh, okay, I got the wrong name. So David Lynch. Well, maybe Verhoeven is in a different position. Anyway, Lynch is for 1984, the 1984 thing.
Yep.
Then there's the Sci-Fi Channel had Dune and Children of Dune.
Yes.
And now we've had a recent 2 films, part 1 and 2, covering to one degree or another.
Denis Villeneuve, the French director.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, so even with 2 movies, it seems like they didn't get everything in there, which is not surprising.
Our assignment was to rewatch or reread or do something. Did you get to watch any one of those things again?
Okay, no, but okay. I recently read Dune novel, and I've watched both the 84 version and the sci-fi version so many times.
Mm-hmm. So, of all the adaptions, you are the Dune aficionado. Counting the Sci-Fi Network, their 2 series. Dune 84. We can't count the Jablonski because, well, it never happened. And then we got the Denis Villeneuve, his 2-parter, which you've not seen, but you've watched a lot of reviews of it.
Yeah.
And I've given you some info about it because I have seen both of them.
I'm going to give all of them a solid F, probably.
Ooh.
I mean, I enjoyed the 84 movie, but you had to swallow a lot of, okay, they changed this and that and the other thing, but I did enjoy parts of it because, hey, you saw sandworms and worm riders and the shield, and well, they made Baron Harkonnen really weird. He didn't do any of that crap in the book with the blood coming down from the pipes and the heart plug and all that crap. None of that was in the book.
That was in 84?
84.
Okay.
And the weirding modules you had.
I know
So,
that bothered you. I remember in 84 it bothered you.
how hard would it have been to just have some martial artists and some choreography? It wouldn't have been that hard. But they probably did run into production costs that were already skyrocketed because of admittedly crappy special effects, but maybe okay for the time. But so you go from that to the Sci-Fi Channel. And the Sci-Fi Channel, they had a better handle on the story, but they still kind of made some weird choices.
Costuming was weird.
Costuming was really weird. Weird looking hats. Oh wow. But they had some cast changes because it probably just took too long. They brought in different people for some of the roles, and they were, to me, miscast. I think I like some things out of the 84 version. I like some of the things out of the sci-fi version. And I'm going to tell you, I don't like anything I've seen in any of the clips I've seen from the point of view of, yes, cinematography is way better. Special effects are way better in the current version, obviously. Acting is probably way better. The 84 version was a bit campy and weird. I think the acting was all right. But there were some issues because they had a production company from Russian, maybe. Mm-hmm. I can't remember specifically what country it was, but it's Russian or some sort of some country in that area. Mm-hmm. So their acting is they had different sensibilities, so it was kind of a little jarring. But mm-hmm. Dune, the modern Dune show, changes so many things. Liet Kynes was a dude.
I knew that was.
There's already lots of female characters in that show. You didn't need to make Liet Kynes a woman at all.
There's not an overabundance of girl boss, though.
Liet Kynes dies. Mm-hmm. Is barely in a key character from a point of view.
Did he die in the book? I've read it, but it's been a while. Okay.
Yeah. He gets killed. But as far as dialogue and all that, he only has a significant portion of dialogue, internal dialogue, while he's dying. Oh, YouTube Ultimate? I don't think I've seen that, but there's a apparently, according to Flady, there's a YouTube Ultimate version. I have to check that out. But there's a theatrical version for the 84, and then there's a director's cut.
I've heard the director's cut's better.
Yeah, it has some extra scenes, but they still have the stupid Harkonnens. Oh, yeah, and the Harkonnens in the current version are bereft of hair.
Dude.
For some dumb reason.
Dude, okay.
They're redheads. Why,
okay.
Why does Hollywood continue to erase redheads?
Okay, look. Lynch got that right. But 84 Dune was trash. It was an utter piece of crap. It was a horrible movie. It bounced quickly from scene to scene. Mm-hmm. The acting was utterly atrocious. The worms were the only good thing about it. That's really the truth. I didn't even think the Spacing Guild was. When the Spacing Guild's doing their little thing to take them from the Emperor's world to Arrakis or whatever, I just thought it was super weird. And I gotta give them a little pass. It was older, special effects. I thought that the mental, all the listening in on people's thoughts got weird after a very quick.
Right, the internal dialogue was carried from the book into the movie, and it was a bad choice. Right.
I think David Lynch is a crap director. I'm not seen Twin Peaks. I've been told that was his best, but everything I've ever seen from him, I hated. He's too weird. The Harkonnens had really weird looking suits. Brad Dourif as the Harkonnen Mentat. He definitely, I could see where he got his Grima worm tongue in Lord of the Rings from. But I like Brad. I did think the Harkonnens were appropriately creepy. The Bene Gesserit seemed very odd. And there was this quick conversion to blue eyes that wasn't really explained. All of a
Right.
sudden,
So
Paul's on Dune and boom, blue eye guy.
okay. So one of the things in the book is that they skip. They have a 3-year period where Paul is integrated into Fremen society. So he wins his place in, and then they fast forward 3 years in the book, right?
You don't get that feeling at all in the movie.
Well, it just flips, right? So I don't know what they do in the current one.
And do you know Sean Young played Johnny?
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well,
There were some serious actors in that.
Johnny was supposed to be very pretty, and Sean Young was very pretty. Yeah.
To me, that's the worst Dune. I would give it a solid F. I do think the best Dune right now is the newest one. But I've only watched a long time ago the sci-fi series Dune. I did not watch the follow-up. I don't remember it well enough, but I'm betting if I watch it again, I'll think it's better than the modern Dune. Because I agree with Joe, there are some issues with the modern Dune. I would give the modern Dune a C+, and I feel like when I watch the sci-fi, I'll probably give it a B.
Right. There are issues with the sci-fi version as well.
To be fair, Joe is an aficionado of Dune. Randy is not. I'm also someone that's more forgiving when it comes to, I mentioned to Joe, when artists take their interpretation of something, I don't mind if they put a few little twists. Joe will argue, those aren't just twists, they're screwing things.
No, I'm saying it wasn't just a few. It wasn't just a couple. It wasn't just a little.
I guess I just don't know well enough.
Each one is small.
I have read the book. I have a couple of really big graphic novels I'm going to get into as well. I do love Dune, the story. I think Paul was better in the newest movie, in the second version, this part 2.
Okay, yeah. So one of the things that they got wrong about Paul in the sci-fi show is they made him initially kind of a wuss. Yes. Because he was a complainer. When Jessica comes in and says, "Okay, we got to do stuff," he's like, like a complaining teenager. And Paul goes from being a 15-year-old to a 20-year-old in one story, and that's formative years, but it's the same actor.
Yeah. So
they've got to figure out how to make him seem like a young person here, but an older person here without it being too weird. But they got it wrong. Paul took his role as the Duke's son very seriously. I mean, he complained to Gurney Halleck in the book that everything is so serious. And then Gurney was like, "Well, yeah, it's very serious. We're going to another planet. I'm going to give you a scar if you don't stop being a little wanker." And he's like, "All right, I'm done."
I think the new one, people are asking, I think the new one is well worth going to see. I thought part 1 was, I thought part 2 was fun, interesting. I don't think it's like Ben Shapiro said, it was the greatest sci-fi movie ever. No way. It is visually stunning. The worm stuff is cool. Chani gets a little weirded out whenever, spoilers in an ancient book, whenever Paul says he's going to marry the emperor's daughter, she goes off and runs off on it looks like she's running off on the back of a worm. And I'm like, that just seems dumb.
Yeah. Because that didn't happen.
No. And I also think that, is it Aaliyah, who's Paul's sister that's inside of him?
Aaliyah is supposed to be the one who kills Baron Harkonnen in the book. She's the one who does it. Hits him with a poison Gom Jabbar thing.
Right, correct. But I was saying there's a cool aspect. I like her talking to her. That's the one part where you hear the speaking in her mind. I like when she's talking to her mother while she's in her mother's belly. That was kind of creepy and cool. In Dune 84, it's one saving grace, is Aaliyah is appropriately creepy, and she kills the Baron instead of Paul.
Right.
Which is dumb. But Man of War, Neighbor of the Beast, glad to see you. He says the last scene of part 2 is dumb as the F word. The last scene where they run off to go battle the space people, the different houses, which doesn't make any sense because
It
that
doesn't happen.
Doesn't
I
happen.
mean, okay, so in the actual story, when Paul is about to fight, Paul is on the dais and is confronting the Emperor, who should not have been played by Christopher Walken.
Correct.
Because Christopher Walken is old. The Emperor is old, but doesn't look old because he's taking spice. Mm-hmm. He's like Middle Ages looking. Mm-hmm. It looks even younger than I do. So bad. Anyway, so he's confronting them, and he's telling the Spacing Guild, take all of these folks home. We're ejecting them. They're not to be in our space. And the guild is like, ooh, you don't tell us what to do. And he's like, I'm Paul. I tell everybody what to do because I'm Paul.
Yep.
I will destroy the spice if you don't do what I say. Now, do they have that destroying the spice thing?
Yes, he said that.
Okay. Was there a story about Count Fenring, where Count Fenring and his Bene Gesserit wife go in to Gedi Prime, not Gedi Prime. Go to the Harkonnens, Gedi Prime.
Gedi Prime, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Harkonnens' home planet, and there they watch Fade battle in the gladiator ring.
Yes, that happened.
Okay, so they go there, and they have a conversation with the Baron. Well, Count Fenring has a conversation with the Baron.
And the Bene Gesserit has a thing with Fade.
Right. So she does her thing, and he does his thing. And then Count Fenring shows up again at the end, and the Emperor tells him to go and kill Paul, and he refuses.
People are talking things like Flady says, in Dune Part 3, they make Paul a black lesbian in a wheelchair. Can't wait for the release. And Killraven says, how stunning and brave. At first, until I talked to Joe after it, there is a little bit of communism peeking through from the Fremen, which they weren't about that. Because they said, we're all equal. And I'm like, that's not how the Fremen thought of each other. Paul was much more equal, and their leaders their siege leaders, they were much more equal than everybody else.
Right. They never mentioned, even breathed equality.
Martin says the Count guy was not there, but the Bene Gesserit was.
Yeah.
I thought the guy who played Fade was actually much cooler than Sting. Sting was trash.
He's not an actor. He's a singer.
I think he got better as an actor. He's been in multiple things. I will say that there are problems with it, but if you're going to compare it to the modern woke trash, it's not as bad. I feel like in Dune, at least some of the stuff, like the communism stuff, was very subtexty. They didn't throw it in your face. Whereas, how Hollywood likes to just say, communism's better than capitalism, none of that. There was no, there were some tough Fremen females, but that's the way it was in the book. Females could fight too.
Yeah, but they were not siege leaders.
No, and they were not. I don't know if there were any siege leaders. There probably were. They had one big kind of...
There was. Liet Kynes, the woman Liet Kynes in the movie, was a siege leader.
Oh, then I'm wrong.
Well, okay. Let me back up.
She lasted 5 minutes in the movie. So.
Yeah, Liet Kynes in the story was a siege leader. And he wasn't just a siege leader. He was the Fremen leader. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's how he was portrayed in the story. I don't know if the Liet Kynes in the movie was portrayed as the leader of the Fremen.
No, I don't recall. It's been too long since I've seen part 1. She shows up. She perfect, shows up in the movie and then is dead like in 12 seconds later. So I don't know. So
I think a problem. So I looked in YouTube at some reviews, and lots of people are like, Dune. I think a lot of it is it doesn't appear to be as woke as a lot of other offerings. Mm-hmm. So they're like, this is cool. And Nerd Erotic, I started watching his, but he said, well, I never read it. I couldn't read it. I just couldn't get through it. So I don't know all the things. So this is fine to me.
Well, to be fair, in 1984, when Joe and I watched Dune, if he hadn't been in the theater with me, I would have been like, what are these fools doing?
Right,
What are they
right,
even talking about?
right.
That's what 84 was too disjointed. To me, it has to be put away as the worst because it's just, as a movie, it's crap. Just as a movie, it's crap. Um, I get, though, if you're waiting to see it, it could be cool for a Dune fan. Killraven makes a good comment. He says, it's a disease where modern writers think they know better than those who work. They are, yeah, they're standing on the shoulders of giants, and they think
So
they
right
can
here,
improve it.
this is what I believe would happen with me if I went to see it. Man of War said Man of War 665. Did you change that? I thought it used to be the other number.
No,
No, it's always been 665.
Neighbor of the Beast. Yeah, he's the
Oh,
neighbor.
neighbor.
He's not
He's
the
a neighbor.
beast. He's not the beast.
Yes. Saw it in IMAX, lit and shot beautifully, top-notch practical and CGI, but story points will grind your gears. Right.
Supremely
Right.
good, very good acting. No, I wouldn't say supreme, but very good.
Right. So the primary thing about the Mentats was that they drank this thing called the juice of Safu, which was a particular distillation of spice.
That was shown in 84.
And it changed. Well, it's in the book too.
Yeah.
Right. And it was shown in the 84 book, and it stained their lips red. And instead of doing that, they just gave them that weird rectangular tattoo on
Possibly the Mentats were almost a non-factor in the whole.
Well, and Paul was trained to be a Mentat.
Yep. Flady is disagreeing with me, which makes me want to cry because I'm a snowflake. I have to disagree. I have never read the book, and as a kid, I was instantly enthralled with the 84 movie. Right on, dude. To each their own, but I just, maybe it's because, now, when I was younger and saw it in 84, I remember, I was like, I was not very good. And then when I saw it recently, I was like, and it could be, it just doesn't age well, and the acting's kind of.
Oh, sure.
You know?
The effects do not age well.
It's not the effects. It's just, to me, I thought it was just. For my money, they wouldn't get my money. But I understand, and when I step back, I was kind of blown away by the special effects and the visuals and the acting. But I think when you step back, when I left and called Joe, and Joe said, "Wait a minute, did they do this? Did they do that?" And I'm like, "No. Yes, they're communists. No." He dropped it down. I did when I left the theater. I probably had it solidly at an 8.5. Now I'd give it a 7. It's still, to me, as a big screen adaptation, it's the best.
Shouldn't do that. Did you enjoy yourself when you were at the theater?
Yeah, but things were bugging me, and I couldn't place my finger on it.
Oh, okay.
Because I hadn't read the book in so long. And when you were saying things, it's like, that's right. That's because you reminded me. That kind of annoyed me now that I think about it. I would go see it with you again. I would. I enjoyed it.
Here's another thing. And all these things, I might be being pedantic, but he's fighting Gertie Halleck when they haven't left for Arrakis yet. It's a real quick scene when they're doing their battle where he tells them, fighting's not a thing about moods. That's for cattle and love play, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Well, the scene that they took from the recent movie makes it look like Gurney Halleck got in his face and told him all this stuff. Really confronted him with it in his face. And I'm like, that would not go over well. Because he's the Duke's son, and it's the whole shebang is very formal, and he would say those things, but from a bit of a distance. He wouldn't get in his face, and he's very proper. Gurney Halleck is a very proper. Well, until he starts singing, and then he sings bodies. So,
Killraven backs up Flady. Says 84 Dune was among a small handful of bootleg VHS tapes that happened when I was a kid. So its place in his mind is unassailable. Fair enough, dude.
Yeah, I get it. I can take some creative license. To me, though, making Lit Kinds a woman, the fact that they have a whole bunch of desert rats that are going to be Middle Eastern-y, so they have plenty of people that can be of color, but they had to make Thufir Hawat of color. And
Thufir Hawat.
That's the Mentat.
Right.
Did he get kidnapped by the Harkonnen and then serve as their Mentat?
I don't think so. Someone correct me. I don't remember that. That wasn't
because in the story he got kidnapped.
Yep, that happened in Dune 84. Happened in Dune 84.
Now, what they did different, he got fed a poison, but they didn't do the whole cat and mouse stitched together macabre weird thing.
There was a cat there and a rat that they showed him.
In the 84 movie, but in the book, they just gave him a poison, and they said, well, if he starts acting up, we're just going to stop giving him the antidote.
Lady says it's her lack of wheelchair that breaks the immersion for him. Oh, so in the end, I'm more merciful. I'm also not as demanding, though. You know what? When I watched even the first one, when I saw it had been so long, when they showed Leah Kynes, I'm like, I remember I had to call Joe. I said, Leah Kynes was not a chick, was he? And he's like, no. So, yeah. Oh, Man of War says they filmed scenes with that Thufir Howitt, and they didn't show a minute of him in the film, that character. Oh, okay.
Well, they cut out a bunch of stuff. Alia was pretty significant. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
She should have been born. That'd have been nice.
Paul beats Jameis. Right? That's his coming of age fight.
Yep.
And his mother goes up to him in the story, goes up to him and says, how does it feel to be a killer? Does she do that in the movie? Does she have because what she's trying to do is prevent him from becoming a monster. So
going back to movie 1, you're asking too much. Okay. I don't remember.
Do you remember the fight?
Yes.
Okay.
He killed the dude.
Does he cry at the funeral?
I don't think so, but I don't remember.
Do they show him inheriting Jameis's wife and kids?
No, they do not.
I
remembered that.
So it's significant from the point of view that he gains a very staunch ally in her because he doesn't insult her because she's a bit older than him. He's only 15. She's like maybe 30. And so he treats her very well. She becomes an ally and helper and even helps raise Alia, even though she ends up becoming an abomination, ends up being killed by his son.
I have been doing something that's abomination-like for the last 5 or 6 days. I've caught snippets of the old Beavis and Butthead cartoon, and I could just see Paul going to his wife, hey, baby. Hey, baby. I was like, oh, my God. They're so dumb.
Yeah, they are.
It's crazy. You would choke something like that out. But I could watch only so much of that, but it was kind of funny. Yeah, so Joe says every adaptation of Dune is dog poop with the book. I
this is the thing. It's unfair because most books adaptation in the movies is difficult because most books can tell a much more intricate and deep story because it's all written down and it's a lot easier to digest. It takes a lot longer to digest. The 2 Dune movies put together are maybe a little over 4 hours. The audio version of an abridged version that I listened to recently was about 9 hours.
Wow.
And they cut at least one scene, the scene where the Emperor and the Spacing Guild meet. And at the very beginning of the story, the Emperor, Spacing Guild, they meet, and the Spacing Guild pretty much extorts the Emperor for the plan that he's made with Harkonnen, because he's reliant on them to help him travel.
Right.
And speaking of the Spacing Guild, I saw how they had the guild help people travel.
In the new movie?
Yeah. They have their ship, and they basically fly through their ship.
Yeah, I didn't even know what that was. So, because I was thinking, where's the Spacing Guild?
Yeah,
that's pretty weak.
It's very weak. They do have ships, and then you dock in their ships, and then they go somewhere. I mean, not physically, kind of physically. They appear there. They fold space, and then they're where they need to be.
Yeah.
It's just. Bleh.
I guess for me, well, you know what? I guess that doesn't bother me as much, even though I'm disappointed they didn't make. I don't remember them saying much of anything about the Spacing Guild. I would like them having a little more comment about them, but they didn't need to have the big warp dudes, which I know they are. Some of those guys are warped because they soaked in the spice or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to me, little changes are fine, but from what I can tell, they didn't just make little changes, or they made little changes, but they made a bunch of little changes.
It's after 9 o'clock, so I don't want to go down this road, but I want to get a quick. You liked Jackson's Lord of the Rings series, right?
Yeah,
But you have some. You have some. Would you say quibbles, or you have more?
I have some quibbles.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Frodo,
Mm-hmm.
when they left the Shire,
Mm-hmm.
Gandalf was gone for years.
Oh yeah, the time thing was
At
tricky.
least 10, maybe 20 years. He was gone because you can't just go to Wikipedia and look stuff up.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so he had to travel on horseback, which took a long time to get to a place to look all this stuff up. He hooked up with Aragorn. Now, all this was background information that they told in snippets here and there, but where they hunted down Gollum,
Mm-hmm.
and got some information from him, and then made some plans. I mean, it wasn't like the next day, like they kind of make it out to be.
Right. They make it like it was 2 weeks later. Yeah.
Right. Frodo is much older than the other hobbits.
So he's been hiding the ring for a while.
Yeah, and he's older. He's like at least 10 or 20 years older than the other hobbits. He's not contemporaries with them, but they're all still friendly.
Yeah, I don't mean to stop you, and I'm sure I know you have a problem with Arwen. My question was leading to this. Here's my question. There weren't so to you, there weren't as many missteps in Lord of the Rings as there was in Dune.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No, they changed a little bit with that Tom Bombadil and Arwen. It's possible I'd have to read them all over again to make sure, but like in most movie adaptations, they change around who says what when a lot of times.
It's interesting. It just depends on my point in asking the question. I'm sorry to cut you off because I don't want. We could go down a huge rabbit hole here. I was just wondering, as a person, if I think I think I'm just more forgiving sometimes with movies.
You are.
Though there are things that I love. I mean, that was really. Yeah, I think I am. I think that's what
you are. You are. I'm a little bit more when I've already read the story. Now, there's probably other things that I've watched that I've enjoyed a lot. That there was a book, and the book wasn't followed hardly at all. And people who've read the book are like, "This isn't the story. It's blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I didn't read that, so I can enjoy it." So that's the thing. That's the thing about reading the story before, especially if it's at least if it has any depth to it.
Yeah.
And okay, one last thing from Lord of the Rings that I didn't want.
Hit me, dude.
The narration at the very beginning telling the history of the ring. Yeah, that's a mystery that you find out from Gandalf when he returns for the ring.
They could have done it. I agree.
But I guess they wanted the lady to have more of a role. That's the same thing with the Arwen. They gave her more of a role and made her out to be tougher and all that stuff because they had 2 or 3 women in the production company that wanted girl power. So
I didn't think it was overly girl power. But
it wasn't. They cut stuff. They cut there were scenes that they were supposed to have where she was the one leading the elf contingent at Helm's Deep. But they changed that, which is I'm glad they did because I would have had a really hard time with that.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we it's getting kind of late, so let's wrap it up with a Cabin Con moment. How does that sound, Joe?
Sounds good.
So Cabin Con is getting really close for us. You Cabin Con guys that are listening or in the chat, it is May 2nd to the 5th. Not to confuse anyone, this is not Big Geek Con. This is a smaller, homier, closer sort of get together of our near and dear friends. We go up north and spend 4 days, 3 nights, going crazy with gaming. The deadline's fast approaching, April 1st. I am going to run, talking about the games, I'm going to run 13th Age, my level 8 game, which Joe has been playing in. I'm going to run a Horde Wars game, and I'm waffling between a couple of others. I think Mr. Martinson's going to be disappointed, but I think I'm going to put Aliens, the RPG, to the side, and I'm going to run either the Ghost Mountain Savage Worlds game, which will be a Wuxia fantasy, or I'm going to run Dark Tower using DCC. I just got that Kickstarter in. It's got the original It was one of the last Goodman Games Kickstarters I did before I swore them off. And it's a DCC game, and I've got a module that will start it off. It's not the full Dark Tower because it's too long. But if I'm going to run 3 different systems, I think they're all going to have to be in my wheelhouse. So I'm going to stick with fantasy. Sorry, Martinson. I just don't think I keep threatening to do that 3-night Aliens RPG, but with the situation with my mom, I think I got to do something I'm more
comfortable with.
quick. Yeah, I can just do without thinking.
Is there any chance that her condition could preclude you from coming?
I would say that's slim, but I won't say it's none.
I hope not. But if you need to bail because of your mom, then you need to.
I will. I will do that. I will absolutely do that. I will. I've already paid for it. My money will make it there, whether I go or not. I will be there in spirit. If not the case, it would have to turn. Mom would have to take a pretty big turn for the worse. But she's not out of the woods, so I can't say that yet for sure.
Okay.
But she's better than she has been. So. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking of running. What about you, Joe? What do you think you're going to run? Are you going to run anything this year? You didn't last year, or did you?
We'll see. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I like to say I would run something, but I always say I'm going to run something, but I don't get the chance to actually make something. So we'll see.
So you're just not going to commit. Which play it safe.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean it's cool if you're not going to do it, don't say it. But I'm going to run 3 different games. The Horde Wars game is still within the Horde Wars setting, but my own little area. And then my 13 Days game is a campaign we're trying to wrap up the next year or two. And then I'm going to run that DCC. I think the DCC or Ghost Mountain. It would be fun to play fantasy martial artist. That'd be kind of cool. So, no, though we have somebody in our group, Patrick Demo has that one, Man of War. He's talking about the Milton Bradley Dark Tower game. I don't know if he has the original. So, no, I'm talking the Dark Tower by Paul Jaquays. When he was known as Paul Jaquays way back in the day. And I have the remake from Goodman Games way back in the day, and I did their Kickstarter with the DCC Big Advancement. And Joe, you'll be happy to know your characters will be at least 2nd level. It will not be a 0 level funnel.
Okay.
So I'm not sure which if I'm going to start right into the adventure proper, or if I'm going to start. They have a prequel adventure to build up to Dark Tower. Yes, the remake. Thank you. Rejoice 85 Man of War says her husband has the remake. Yeah. So yeah, that is our little Cabin Con update. As far as any updates with Big Geek Con, now this is different than Cabin Con. This is where anybody can go if they want to. You can purchase tickets online at Tabletop Events. Joe will have the links, I'm sure, in the show notes. September 20th, 22nd, 2024. $30. $30, people.
It's a steal.
For 3 days of gaming, 2 full days and 1 probably half day on Sunday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We will game our butts off. Children are welcome. 13 plus have to pay. If you're under 13, you get to come for free. Flady, oh my, he's going. He won't know if he can make it till July or August. Oh man, okay. We'll be praying for you, dude. I want to see you there, man. I owe you an Indian dinner, man. We're gonna go out and get some Indian food. Flady's my hot, spicy guy.
Appropriating that culture there.
I am
You're not supposed to eat that. It's only for Indians.
Yeah. Larry Elliott's got it right. He says, take time off work, get your tickets now, and don't miss. Easy for him to say. He's a retired dude.
Yeah, he's taking time off work permanently.
Yeah. Very jealous. But yeah, check that out. 4 Points, Sheraton, and Saginaw. We had about 50 folks last year. It was our first time. This is going to be bigger, better, and supremely game-friendly. So Big Geek Con is separate than Cabin Con. Cabin Con's our own personal thing. We like to throw it in every now and again to make you guys feel bad because you can't come. Not that they couldn't. If these people if they wanted to come, they could come. Larry said he retired so he could attend. He was tired of working in September.
He retired specifically because of Cabin Con.
Oh, well. You got anything to add in Random Geekitude?
I don't think so. No.
Is the Emporium still emporizing?
Yeah, actually, we have some new products out there. I meant to have something ready tonight to show, but I think what I might do is have a separate video showing some of the new stuff. I know I can just quickly talk about it. Where's that? There. Buddy Scott Entertainment Group has several new products, about I think 5.
Oh, cool.
They're all modules and they're all free.
Ooh, free.
I think, yeah. Golden Voyage, Crypt of Terror, Hell or High Water. The 4th, the 6th level, I think is pretty much what he's doing here. Let me click on this one. Into the Elder Worm.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a high level one.
What level?
It's an expert adventure for character levels of 14.
Oh, that's the top end of expert.
I'm going to read the blurb. The Elder Worm, a purple worm of galactic size, has been released from its cosmic prison and is on the loose. Dare you crawl inside its guts to find out what dreadful creatures make homes in its bones and swim in its stomach? Are you tough enough to journey into the Elder Worm?
Oh, nice.
That's
always
the
fun.
book.
Always fun to go inside of monsters.
And it's free.
Arnman says there's a Horde Wars update to version 1.2 on Big Geek Emporium a day ago. Download for those that already bought it. And buy it and get the updated version. Do that too. Buy Horde Wars. It's a great game. You'll love it. RPG, baby.
It's a good game.
Quality.
It is probably my favorite pickup game for sure. It's
that
very easy to just make a character and go.
Yeah. Harder to make a 13th age character, but if you have pre-gens, 13th age is fun to pick up and play too.
Paradox Games has a series of stuff called Radically High. It's about high school gaming as a high schooler. And the Red Room has a couple of new offerings. Supermax.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let's see. Yeah. Where do you put the captured aliens from wretched conspiracies? The supernatural threats from wretched darkness? All the powerful supervillains from wretched vigilantes? No normal prison will hold these threats. So where have we been putting them all these years? The Supermax prison.
They have their own little store on Red Room, spelled backward.com. Who is it? Sylvia and... why am I blanking on the guy's name? Sylvia's the girl. Who's the guy? Dang it.
Miguel.
Dang it. I know Miguel. And I was like, those guys do a good job. Please check their site out too, as well as... I thought this was as well as a Big Geek Emporium. Flady says he likes the look of Radical High. He got most of it so far. Would be perfect for a con. Right on. Martin sends a question with Big Geek Con too. He says, Joe, when do you want the games we're running? I think probably after Cabin Con sometime. Don't you?
Probably. It's still. I think we got an initial few people that bought tickets, but right now, there's just no. They haven't had any action for at least a month.
I'm not worried.
It's probably not worried. Shouldn't worry about it. Like
the calm before the storm, dude. It's like the last month people start flooding in and showing up the day of. So it'll probably be a pretty solid crew. I don't care if it's even smaller. We got a lot more space. We'll just spread out and play like crazy people.
So Patty didn't like us doing spoilers.
Sorry, man.
Over on Rumble.
Oh, sorry, bud. We spoiled the crap out of the new movie.
Dune is a 60-some-odd-year-old story.
Yeah, but the new one's got some new. It's fine. I understand. If he wants to see it, I understand.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, dude. Why don't we skedaddle unless you got more? You got more you want to tell people about?
No, I do not.
Okay, guys.
Go check out. We got some new stuff up there from Red Room and the other folks we talked about.
Yeah, so please support our show. Like, subscribe, share us wherever you find us. Joe's got all the cool links for if you want to give us a little cash, you can. Don't forget Big Geek Emporium. I think that's a wrap for tonight. What do you think, bro?
I think it is.
All right. Well, this is Randy.
And this is Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.